More people are crossing the border than ever before. The governor says the federal government's not doing anything to stop it, so it's time for the state to take action. The problem is you can't get to the street I'm standing on right now, Woodlawn, without actually moving one of these barricades. Look at what's being discarded today. This is a stuffed animal leg, a panda. A little bit further back here, we have a basketball goal. These are the kinds of things neighbors have to throw away. 6 homes on this street alone look like this, uninhabitable. 2 of those 6 look like this one, unrecognizable. You just heard the update there from DPS about sort of the way these events unfolded today. We know that the shooter had a long rifle, obviously a rather massive death toll in a tragic situation that just gradually gets worse and worse. What characteristics do you think of the president are reflected in Mr. Risponi? President Joe Biden earlier today called for an independent review of the security at former President Trump's Saturday rally. We're actually approaching the wreck right now, so first, I'm going to switch you over to our roof cam so you can kind of see the flashing lights. Sellers are getting 20% more on their homes than they would have this time last year. If you build the pipeline from Decatur to Northeast Texas, then eventually there will be another reservoir that has to come. Right. Me and a couple hundred of my closest Rangers friends, although there is a very loud Houston Astros fan behind me. I don't know who let her into the game. I made reference earlier to a group of Franciscan monks. They were praying just a moment ago. Can't imagine a more appropriate response. With 46 people dead tonight, if it is indeed a human smuggling case, it would be the deadliest such event in American history, we believe. We're going to keep having this same debate over and over and over again until one side blinks or school starts. They chanted, they marched around campus, and this is interesting. They've covered this fountain and walkways all over North Texas's grounds with sidewalk chalk art. This one says, "Free Palestine Now." The RVs behind me are literally stacked on top of each other, so you can understand them why that process will take weeks.
It was so dark.
It's easier to find a new perspective when nothing is where it should be.
You realize what you really don't need.
That's Donald Wiley's view from atop his flipped RV.
If you find one of the little small things like the spare key fob to your vehicle, the family Bible.
Diamonds in a blended rough.
Good things to find.
It's hard to see where Wiley's camper ends and his neighbors begin, though it's a miracle he can see this at all.
And he hit this pile of campers here and it exploded, and I was inside of it.
Wiley says he clung to his mattress as the wind carried his RV some 150 feet over his truck and onto at least 2 other campers.
You realize you're in flight, and you're just hoping the landing is going to be favorable.
It was. He has just a cut on the elbow to show for his story. Staff at Lake Ray Roberts Marina say no one was critically hurt here, but plenty of things are still missing.
There's no finding it.
Big things.
Looks like it's just buried out there somewhere, so tell me.
Underneath all the metal and...
Triana and Pat Burrows are searching for a parent's boat. It was docked here. It could be under the rubble or underwater.
Or it could
really
be
is.
way out there somewhere. We have no idea.
Yeah.
But in the cleanup, residents and volunteers have found something they didn't all know they had.
Well, no wonder you're helping me. Your dad is a good person.
Each other.
You know, it's the community that's been hit, but it's the community that's
coming together.
Yeah.
That means these neighbors are right where they belong. In Denton County, I'm Matt Houston.
It's nothing better than this right here.
When the wind whispers in Cuthand, it seems nature stops to listen. Nothing interrupts that God-sent silence except Eddie Belcher.
This to me is heaven. I don't know what everybody else, to me it's heaven.
So Paradise is about 700 acres, 20 miles north of Mount Pleasant, all under a calm canopy.
The quietness, the tranquility, the things you see.
Eddie would tell you he's living his afterlife on the land his family bought a century ago. He'll pass it down to his 6 grandchildren.
This here is my great-grandfather's old house.
One property in one family for 7 generations. But its heirs bear a burden.
Everybody's getting old, and this thing wears on you, man. It wears on me, and I know it wore on my daddy. I think about this thing every day.
Since the 1950s, state leaders have debated damming up the Sulphur River to form a lake, the Marvin Nichols Reservoir. Pipes would carry its water to booming DFW, where soon there may not be enough to quench demand.
Texas is, a growing state and it needs more water. Unfortunately, we're running out of that.
For years, Kevin Ward led the committee in charge of finding water for the Metroplex, a group that's recommended Marvin Nichols construction. Their analysts project shortages beginning in 2030 if current supply is not boosted.
You're going to see water rates go up. You're going to see reductions of use. You'll probably see restrictions on landscaping.
The problem worsens with time. The region will need 221,000 acre-feet of water each year by 2030 and 1.33 million by 2080.
Later, what you'll see is growth will slow. Jobs will dry up. You won't have people wanting to move here. You'll see business relocations. You'll see things that you really don't want to see.
Marvin Nichols would not close the gap on its own, but it'd provide enough water for about 3 million people in DFW, or 23% of projected demand. But people live in East Texas, too.
Everything in my family will be underwater.
The project would flood almost 70,000 acres, and the state would claim another 130,000 to offset its environmental impact. No one knows exactly which farms or ranches would be taken for preservation.
Where's my family going to go? Where's my community, my friends? It's not only me. It's going to break the whole community up.
That community works in warehouses like this one.
You're always going to need wood.
Brett Lowry manages the Ward Timber Sawmill in Linden. The biggest logs become railroad ties, smaller planks are treated and used for shipping pallets, and the scraps become diapers.
Everything we do here affects so many other industries around here. Our biggest concern is the loss of raw materials for the sawmill.
Their hardwood comes from the Sulphur River Basin. Flooding those forests leaves little land for the local timber industry to replant what it cuts down. Sawmills in northeast Texas could not easily replenish their own supply, so they'd need to buy wood from other regions.
I think anybody that believes in private property rights, protection of the environment, not robbing the poor to pay the rich, I don't think they would be for this project.
Jim Thompson is Ward Timber's attorney and leads the committee in charge of Northeast Texas's water supply. He argues too much of DFW's water goes to waste, and that the state has not adequately explored alternatives to Marvin Nichols.
To me, the project and the planning process itself, to some extent, is flawed. I think there are entities that are going to make so much money off of this project they can't turn it loose.
It'll cost at least $7 billion to build the reservoir, but Kevin Ward contends that is the cheapest realistic proposal, partly because it's the closest to the new demand.
Marvin Nichols just happens to be at that sweet spot right now as far as the dollars and cents go, where the pipes are already running in some cases, where they'll be run in the future. Marvin Nichols is there.
We're certainly willing to work as far as additional water resources that we have available, but not this project, not one so damaging to our area.
Not to exceed 5 minutes.
The two sides will have to come to some agreement before the State Water Board drafts its next 5-year plan this fall. The debate will almost certainly reach the state legislature.
This will be resolved in one way or another. Will someone come riding in a white horse with another solution to where you don't have to do this? It could happen.
Come on!
It's just about everyone's prayer.
Come on! You want some? Huh?
Though few have begged for divine intervention more than the ones who believe they're already in heaven.
Come on! God ain't making no more land. Let us live our life. And we'll try our best to help you any way we can, but don't take our homes.
That would bring a kind of silence that he can't stand. In Cuthand, I'm Matt Houston.
Probably the next 2 or 3 weeks, we will be very busy.
This path is too rocky to blaze a new trail, too dry to leave a mark.
Like this June has probably been the hottest June I've experienced here.
Park Superintendent Jeff Davis and retail manager Paul Baker say it hasn't rained here since May.
This is the ballroom track site.
Usually, a drought is bad for business. But
there's a big but to that, yeah.
Emerge from the dehydrated path to find something new.
Wow.
At Dinosaur Valley State Park.
This is so cool.
110 million years young.
Normally you see about a quarter of this.
The Paluxy River's retreat has created a once-in-a-lifetime,
You see this guy stepping right here, boom, boom.
maybe once-in-an-eon opportunity.
There's a good chance we may find another track around in here.
Clear the dried sediment
Maybe one right there.
and unearth something
Yep.
Jurassic.
Yep, there you go. Dinosaur track.
Never before seen sauropod and theropod tracks
Look at that big print.
preserved an eternity ago when dirt and rocks gently filled in the mud hole.
And then more and more layers built up. And it was buried for most of geologic time, over 100 million years, until in 1908, a big flood came through and lifted off the overlying layers.
There's probably 400 unearthed prints here at the so-called ballroom site,
The mud has been all pushed up around it.
though the dinos' dance was far from elegant.
They're stepping on each other, running around.
Volunteers like Philip Scoggins
You get right, left,
and Glenn Cuban
right,
are racing against a natural clock,
and there.
trying to map and mold these tracks
That's the last one before he heads under the gravel there.
before the next good rain replenishes the Paluxy.
Oh my goodness, look at the...
Until then,
That's a baby dinosaur.
No, that's not a baby dinosaur, that's a big dinosaur.
the dry riverbed is a siren for childlike wonder.
Dinosaurs used to walk right through here,
Every depression,
right where you're standing.
the perfect fit for tiny shoes,
Look at that big footprint.
imprinting memories
Isn't that neat?
as they step through time.
What's this over here?
In Glen Rose,
Yeah, that's a big one.
I'm Matt Houston. Ken's 5 News at 10 starts right now. Tonight, Uvalde schools have a new leader, an outsider with experience guiding districts through transition periods and even scandals. But our team coverage begins with Sue Kalberg live at the Norm Oil Warming Center, one of 7 open across the city. Sue, it looks like you're doing everything you can not to blow away right now. Your neighbors, friends, and family, average people, are almost certain to decide whether a rookie SAPD officer broke the law. A day after she vowed to stick around, Prime Minister Liz Truss is leaving. I can't remember a time in my time in Texas that the entire state was on fire like it is right now.
Especially your neck of the woods, East Texas,
Never.
right?
Good evening, I'm Matt Houston. Tonight, San Antonio police say they are still trying to crack a case Kins 5 first told you about when a picture of a naked man paying a late-night visit to a southeast side porch lit up social media. The homeowner told investigators this man rang the video doorbell around 3 a.m. and then performed in front of the camera for an hour. It was a show no one wanted to see, so police asked for your help identifying the man. Popeyes is once again offering to help with your Thanksgiving meal. The fast food giant is bringing back its Cajun-style turkey.
Yeah.
Marinated in Louisiana seasoning and slow roasted. I'm going to read it real slow, sexy like. The bird is pre-cooked, so all you have to do, thaw the turkey, throw it in the oven.
Oh, yes.
Pre-orders are now available. The turkeys can be picked up at local locations or delivered.
That's a good. Have you ever done this turkey?
I have actually had the turkey, but not for Thanksgiving purposes.
Okay.
It was like leftover
How
type
was it?
thing.
Yeah.
It was good. Mom, I hope you're listening. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I said you were crushing some Popeyes in the newsroom.
Oh
yesterday.
man, I told you it's like 6,000 calories to
Right,
start
right.
your day out.
3 times a week, right?
That's the only way to do it, yes. A steady diet. We'll see you back at 6.